Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for Bni Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is the first part in a 5-part series of Bni Connect webinars. They're specifically designed for new users in Bni Connect, whether that means that you're a brand new member to Bni, if so, welcome to the Bni family, or whether you've been in Bni for a while or you're just stepping into Bni Connect for the first time, either to learn how to use the system or to use slips or to find other people around the world. We're going to cover just about every single aspect of Bni Connect over the course of the next few weeks. Now, in order to not overwhelm you, we do keep these to nice, short, half-hour series. So we try to tackle Bni Connect in little bite-size increments in order to get the information to you in a more logical fashion. I do have a couple of questions already. I see that Cameron says that the chat window works. I can see a screen, but I can't hear any sound. Is everybody or anybody else able to hear me okay? All right, so we have some other people saying that, yes, we can hear you, so we're good to go there. Excellent. Cameron, if you can hear me, just go ahead and you might need to reconnect to the session. Of course, you can't hear me say that, but so anyway, thank you, everyone. I got a whole bunch of responses, so awesome. So before we get started with today's webinar, just a couple of really quick housekeeping things about these webinar series in general. The first of all is that all of these are live. If you're listening to me today at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific, that means that you are listening to a live webinar. So that's great because you can interact with this webinar. So that means that if you have questions as we're going through the material today, feel free to ask me those questions. So just type the questions into the questions panel, just the same way a bunch of people just typed in that they could hear me okay. If not, you can also use the chat menu if you would like to send a message that way as well. The only silly question is the unasked question. Now, that said, we do also record all of these webinars so that you can share them with other people in your chapter, share them with new members as they come in, or if you wanted to go back and review this material, let's say that you aren't going to be able to attend one of the other sessions, you could always catch one of the recordings of those as well. We do store those both on our support site as well as on YouTube, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. As I said, we do keep these to about 30 minutes. However, if you do have questions beyond that, I am happy to hang out until every single question has been answered. All right, so as this is the first webinar in our series, what I want to do is kind of give you a very, very brief overview of what Bni Connect's all about. And I'm just going to do 3 slides here from a PowerPoint, and then we're actually going to get our hands dirty and we're going to jump into Bni Connect and show you some things directly in the system. But what I first want to make sure that you guys understand is that Bni Connect, it's not really a website. It's an online platform that really is the driving force behind a lot of what Bni does. Essentially, it's 3 programs for Bni, all combined into one and hosted in an online platform. So first of all, if anybody has ever used QuickBooks for their business, Bni Connect is kind of our QuickBooks on a global scale. So not only is it keeping track of all the membership information and when people joined and when they need to renew and all of the events and all the payments and all things like that, it's also recording about 1,000 regions and about 7,500 chapters worth of POMS reports. So just think about that for a second. We have 7,500 chapters around the world all entering data into the system on a weekly basis. We are in 72 countries currently, so Bni is a global interface, and every single chapter, every single country uses Bni Connect in order for this data input. So that's the QuickBooks side of things. We also are kind of like a WordPress for everybody as well, and this is where this profile comes in really most importantly, is that we're hosting 44 country websites, 860 region websites, and about 7,000 chapter websites. So when we're talking about our profile, when you fill out your profile in BNI Connect, this kind of WordPress CMS system pushes all of your profile information out to all of these websites. So not only is it available to other BNI members through BNI Connect, but it's also on your country level website. So here in the United States, that's bniamerica.com. So you have a profile up on bniamerica.com if you're here in the United States. Then your region has a website as well. And if you're not sure what that is, just click the regional website button in the upper right-hand corner of BNI Connect, and that will take you to your regional website. So I am a member here in the Rhode Island region. So that means that my regional website, we happen to have one called bniri.com for BNI Rhode Island. So the third thing that BNI Connect is that it is really a kind of a private LinkedIn for all of us members here in BNI around the world. So it allows us to interact with each other on a regular basis, and it allows us to have conversations through the discussion groups and really utilize other BNI members for services, not just in our own chapter, but around the world. Here's just a couple of geeky little facts about BNI Connect if you're interested in those. It is, as I said, it's an online application. It is not a website. It is an online application. It has about 1,000 individual pages. What we see as members is actually kind of the smaller portion of what BNI Connect is and what it does. It's got about 120 reports. We currently have to translate every single thing here in BNI Connect into 47 different languages. Now that is a whole lot of translations. So I know that sometimes it seems that progress is really, really slow at times in BNI Connect, and part of that is because, yes, we do have to make sure that as we're building new things and new features that we give all 72 countries a chance to translate things into their own languages as necessary. Got about 1 million lines of code, and pretty soon, hopefully by end of first quarter, beginning of second quarter next year, we'll have a mobile app platform as well. So look for that towards the beginning of the second quarter next year. So what is so cool about BNI Connect and what's so exciting about it? And for me, I've been a member of BNI since 2002. So I joined my chapter, my BNI Wakefield chapter, which I am still a member of today, almost 15 years later. Still go to weekly meetings on Thursday morning. But when I joined that chapter, that was the entire BNI universe to me. I didn't really know much about anything else in BNI. It was just those 20 people that we met with every week. And about 6 months into it, they asked me to be the vice president. So I said, sure, I'll be the vice president, no problem. Went to my first leadership team training, and I looked around the room, and there's hundreds of other BNI members from my area. So that was awesome. I got to meet some other BNI people, but unless I collected their cards, it was really hard for me to get back in touch with them later because we didn't have a system like BNI Connect. We didn't have a regional website that we could look up somebody else's phone number anytime we wanted to. All we could do was to really work on our business cards. And then I became a director a couple of years later, and I went to my first international conference and met hundreds of BNI directors and members from around the world, but I still had the same problem. Even though this was now 2004, 2005, we still didn't have something that tied us all together. And then when BNI Connect was released in 2011, we finally had that platform that could tie everybody in the world in BNI together. And right now we have over 200,000 members globally. Now, and I've been to BNI meetings all over the world. We're all doing business the same way. I've been to chapter meetings in Hong Kong and in Amsterdam, and I don't understand Dutch, but I can tell when people are excited about passing referrals. I could see they were having membership committee meetings. I could see that there was accountability and excitement in the room. And to me, it makes a lot more sense that anytime I have a need, I try to refer it to a BNI member rather than just randomly finding somebody on Google or on Craigslist or on Angie's List or on Yelp. I always try to use a BNI member first. So as we're talking about that, let me get out of this PowerPoint presentation and let's actually take a look at BNI Connect and take a look at some of the things that I'm talking about here. So the important thing is, and one of the very first things that you want to do is to make sure that you have filled out your profile, because that's kind of the building block to everything that's going to happen in BNI Connect, especially because it is such an interactive platform and you're going to be referring to people and finding people and talking with people around the world. You really only have one chance to put your kind of best foot forward there. So as I said before, your profile shows up in at least 3 different places plus on the inside of BNI Connect. Why don't we take a look at what that looks like first. So here in BNI Connect, you'll see that there's a regional website button up here in the upper right-hand corner. So if you're not sure what your regional website is, you can always click that button and that will bring you there. Now this here is a public website, whereas when you log into BNI Connect, that's just for members. But when we go out to the internet here, if I go to, let's say, find a member, now the easiest thing is just search for yourself. And here is my profile. And you can see here I have all of my profile filled out. I've got my picture, I've got my logo, I've got all of my social media links and my tops profile. I even have a video here in my business. Every chapter in BNI also has a chapter website. So if I go to, let's say, for example, find a chapter, I look at my BNI Wakefield chapter here. If I then click on visit the chapter website, this is our chapter website, fairly straightforward. Out of the box, we haven't customized it too much here, but again, I could go to meet members, and here is my profile once again. Note that it is the same profile, but this is a distinct and original URL from the other profile. Now, as I mentioned, there is a third place. So here in the United States, we have bniamerica.com. And here on bniamerica.com, we can also click on Find a Member and find the profile of any member in the United States. And again, this is a public website for anybody in the United States, or really anybody in the world, to use to find a member in the United States. So once again, let me just, I can't even spell my own name right apparently today. Click on search, and it finds the match. And here we go. This is, again, the same profile. So it's one of those, you fill it out once, and it is now updated everywhere. So let's close out of here and go back into BNI Connect. Now this is the BNI Connect home screen. If you want to see what your profile looks like to other people, do a search inside BNI Connect as well. And you can do that here in the upper right-hand corner. You can see that we have this magnifying glass. That is our Bni Directory Search, where we can search for other members around the world here in BNI. And again, this allows you to search across countries as well. So it's not just, whereas the regional website is only searching for my region here, Rhode Island, and the BNI America site is only for people in the United States, this search is actually for the entire world. So once again, I can just search for my name, or I can search for, let's say, a plumber in Pittsburgh, or I can search for a computer repair person in Florida. And there's 2 Jeremy Walshes here. So actually this first Jeremy Walsh, this is my profile. And again, you can see it looks very similar. Now here inside BNI Connect, we're sharing a little bit more information. So you can see all my roles. Still has my video, but it also shares my email address if I want it to, and my other contact information. Now that's pretty much the same as on the public websites, but we also have, we share our weekly presentations, and we can share our gains profile and our tops profile. We can also see all the people that we are connected to. People can leave you testimonials on your profile. There is a photo sharing library that you can use for sharing photos or even testimonials from clients. You can see what groups people are participating in. And finally, the training history. Again, this is all VCP, visibility, credibility, profitability. We are giving you the visibility. This is how you build your credibility. Now, just as an example, if you haven't done anything yet to your profile, like I haven't, this is a test account of mine in Antarctica, but you can see that even if somebody wanted to contact me, if they found my profile, they couldn't because the phone number is not even being shared. So the first step is to make sure that we fill out this information and we share that information. So we do that if we're back on our home page. So I'm going to click the home button here and go back to my home page. There's two ways to get to your profile. The first of which is to click this Update Profile My Bni page. Link right here in the center of the screen. The other way we can do that is up here in the upper right-hand corner, go to Options and go to My Account. Both of those will take you to the exact same place. Now, you'll notice that this is your profile. It's split into a number of different tabs here just to keep it from being one super duper long scrolling page. Now, really, all we need to do is to go through and fill out all the details on each of these tabs. That is the Reader's Digest version of filling out your profile, but I'm going to try to give you guys a little bit more insight into some of the specific things on your profile. But we have our main profile, we have our user profile, our contact details, our account settings, our bio. If you are a director consultant or an ambassador or a regional administrator, this is the director profile. And finally, the training history. So let's take a look at all of these tabs in a little bit more detail. So this first tab here is the main profile, and it's basically your name, your company, and a couple of other things. Now the name and the company name, those can't be directly edited, and the reason for that is that it does need to match the person that input an application. So if you do need changes to that, usually there will be a request button here that allows you to request that change from your regional office. The same is true for your industry and classification, but you can also see your chapter and when you are next due for renewal and your membership status. Now, by the way, up here we have a couple of fields, the registered tax office and the VAT reference number. If you're here in the United States, where I am, you can safely ignore those two fields. Basically, the registered tax office, that's something for some of our Australasian friends. They do need to input that information. And the VAT reference number, VAT, by the way, stands for value-added tax. Essentially, that's the sales tax ID number that is required in some European countries. But here in the United States, we can keep those empty. Now, the first two places where you want to spend a little bit of time is the My Business and the keywords. Now, the My Business is, the way I think about this, and when somebody is meeting you for the first time, how would you explain your business? So think about your open networking at your chapter meeting, that first 15 minutes of the meeting. If a visitor were to come and ask you, hey, what do you do? What would you tell them? Now, again, you want to keep this kind of high level, and really if you're going to write this out, I recommend keeping this to probably 2 to 4 sentences. People skim words on the internet and they go through them pretty quickly. Nobody's going to be sitting there, analyzing it word for word. So try to keep it short and sweet. And you'll notice another thing that you can do is this is one of the very few fields that you can input HTML code. And I know it looks pretty confusing, but it's actually really, really easy if you wanted to input a video there. So if anybody's interested in that, what I'll do is I'll show you that right at the end. But it's as easy as hosting a video on YouTube or Vimeo and then copying what's called the embed code. But again, I can show you that towards the end if anybody's interested. Now, the second thing here is the keywords. And the keywords are really, really important because that's how people find you when they don't know your name. Now, when I did a couple of searches before, they were pretty straightforward searches. I was just searching for my name. So it's kind of hard to miss getting the person when you know their name. But the fact of the matter is that most of the time, especially if we're looking to, pass a referral to somebody outside of your general area, then the keywords are really important for that. Now, of course, it's going to search by the basic parts of your profile. So it's going to search by your name. It's going to search by your company name. It's going to search in the industry and classification that you have listed here that was input in your application. But you really want to supplement that with other terms. Now, I'm not saying you don't want to take somebody else's category, but what you do want to do is to make sure that you have other words in there that describe your category. For example, if you are in the accounting and your classification is bookkeeper, what you may want to do is put the word bookkeeping into the keywords, because bookkeeping is a different word than bookkeeper. The other technique here is to also put in cities and or states and or areas. For example, Rhode Island, where I'm a member, is a very, very small state, where it's only 20 miles wide by 40 miles long, a whole 800 square miles in the entire state. What that means is that a lot of us here in Rhode Island do business over the borders. Now, off to the east is just the ocean, but to the west and south we have Connecticut, and to the north and west we have Massachusetts. So I put in Massachusetts and Connecticut because I want people to find me if they're searching for computer services in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, or Connecticut. Of course, if you make any changes on this screen, make sure you click this update button here. You'll see a little thing that says saved flash along the bottom for a second. And when you're all set, go ahead and move on to the next tab. And this next tab is your user profile tab. And this is some basics about your profile. It's really your username. You can change your password here, and also your question and answer. So the question and answer is really important. If you forget your password, you get to write your own question for how we're going to challenge you to make sure it's you. One thing to keep in mind is that it is case and space and character sensitive. So make sure that if you write a question like, what street were you born on? And you put, 15, Lake Avenue, that you remember whether or not you spelled avenue with a capital A, and whether or not you put the abbreviation for avenue, or whether you spelled that all out, whether you put a period in there, because you do need to answer the question exactly. As I mentioned before, there are about 47 different languages here in BNI Connect. You can choose the one that is appropriate for you, your time zone, and of course you can upload a profile image and or a company logo. So let's say I wanted to change my company logo here. I can click this magnifying glass, and let's go pick a new logo. I think I'm going to go back to my traditional square logo here. I can crop this if I need or want to. Otherwise, I'm just going to click Save. And now I'll have a new logo on my profile. All right, so the next tab over is the contact details. And yes, of course, remember, if you change anything, make sure you click that update button. So the next tab over is the contact details. And this is pretty straightforward. It's, your name, your phone number, email address, social media links, et cetera, your actual physical address. What's really, really, really important on this page, though, is you'll see up here, this very top thing, it says, show me on public websites. Show me on public websites. If this box is checked, then people can find you on all of those websites that I mentioned before. Your name will be listed on bniamerica.com, your regional website, and your chapter website. If you uncheck this, people will not be able to find you, even if they search directly by your name. So this will essentially hide you from all of the public searches. I myself am going to make sure that that is checked off. So the rest of this information you can choose whether or not to share. For example, if you don't want to share your mobile number, make sure you uncheck that box. On the public site, we won't share your email address, but there is a send message option. So your email address will remain private. This is just whether or not you would like to allow them to send you a message. And then you can put in all your social media links. Now, if you have multiple Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter accounts, you can put multiple of them in. These labels don't actually show up anywhere. So if you happen to choose one of these labels, you can add a new one and then just put really any link in here and it will pick it up correctly. Your address down at the bottom, make sure at the very least that your billing address has your real address because your office may need to send you postal mail. And if you would like to still have your address information display, for example, on the mobile on the regional sites, but you're working, let's say, out of a home address, you can just, instead of having the address in there, put in by appointment only. That's what we would recommend there. All right, the next tab over is your settings tab. Most of this has to do with email preferences and internal preferences on the inside of BNI Connect. This first section here is the member-to-member settings. So all of these settings are what you want to show on the websites, on the public websites. When we get to this tab, this is when somebody finds you in the magnifying glass, this is the information you want to share with them. So when you say that you want to share things with everybody, that means even if you're not connected, so as soon as they find you in BNI Connect, they'll be able to see all of this information. The second option is whether or not you can just wait until you're connected. So once you're connected, then, for example, you'll share your picture gallery or connections, or you can choose to never share that information. So, for example, let's say that you don't want your email address to ever be shared. You would switch that to none. One thing I do highly recommend is that you make sure that you show your contact details to everyone. And the reason for that is that if you don't do that, if somebody does find your profile on BNI Connect, and let's say they're looking for your services, if you're not giving them away right away to get in touch with you, more than likely they're just going to move on to the next profile because nobody wants to wait until that connection is accepted. All right, the bottom has to do with some of the email, social media part of the email communications. You can choose when you would like to receive, for example, group post notifications, and whether or not you would like connection requests and internal messages to be forwarded to your email address. The next tab over is just your bio. This is the traditional bio that a secretary-treasurer would collect before a 10-minute presentation. You can also upload a few weekly presentations. So one of the great things about BNI Connect, as I said before, is we have about 200,000 members in BNI Connect. I can guarantee you that probably 199,950 of them will never be at one of your chapter meetings. So with that said, you may want to type out or take a video of yourself giving a 60-second presentation. That way you can share it if somebody comes across your profile. We also have the gains profile, goals, accomplishments, interests, networks, and skills, and finally the tops profile, which is your ideal referral, your top product, top problem, favorite BNI story, and ideal referral partner. If you have limited time, now this is the only tab of your profile that's probably going to take you more than 5 minutes. There's just a lot of typing on this particular tab. So if you have a limited amount of time, I recommend doing your My Business, your keywords, get a profile picture and logo up there, make sure that your contact details are correct, and then just do the tops profile. The reason why is that those are all of the ones that show up on the public website. Now, ideally, you definitely want to get that bio in before your next feature presentation, and you want to make sure you get some commercials in. And of course, we want to do the gains profile, so that way we can do a gains exchange before our one-to-one. But the TOPS profile and the My Business, as well as your keywords, has a little bit greater visibility because it's out there on the public internet. All right, the last two tabs, this director profile, if you happen to be a director consultant, this is what's showing up on the Contact Us page of your regional website. And finally, the training history. Now, we can't really do anything to edit the training history. If you find that there's a mistake in there, please get in touch with your regional office or the director consultant of your chapter, and they can certainly help you out to get that corrected. But that will automatically populate as you attend events in your region. Now, if you want to double check your profile, as I said before, you can just search for yourself using the magnifying glass, or you'll also see down all the way at the bottom of in the footer of the page, you'll see a thing that says profile. If I click that profile button, that will also take me over to my profile, and I could check out what it looks like. So, all right, we are at the bottom of the hour. I do try to be very respectful of people's times. I know that everybody took time out of their busy day and their businesses in order to learn more about BNI Connect today. So what I'd like to do is, if there is anybody that needs to leave right away, thank you guys so much for being here. As I mentioned, this is being recorded, and I will upload it as soon as I can to our support site. So you'll be able to find those videos by clicking on this question mark in the upper right-hand corner. When you click this question mark in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see all of our help documents. There is a section here, live and recorded webinars. You'll see all the recordings over here. The upcoming webinars, you can also click on the link there. Now, our very next webinar, a good referral for me would be to please let people know about these webinars and to recommend tomorrow's webinar, which is giving and tracking referrals online. It's going to be at the same time, so we're going to be here again at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. All right, so what I'd like to do now is to open this up to any questions. Does anybody have any questions whatsoever about BNI Connect, about BNI, about anything to do with the profile or anything else in the system? Always happy to answer questions. Steve says, thank you very much. I do have a message here from Jessica saying that the sound cut out. Jessica, I apologize for that. You'll be able to hear this in the recording if you haven't gotten your sound back by now. Oh, Jessica says it came back. Excellent. Andrew says, is this a CEU? Andrew, absolutely. Do make sure that you please put a CEU in for today's session. So everybody that's still here, or if you're listening to the recording, make sure you go back to your home page. All right, we're going to cover this tomorrow. And make sure that you click Submit CEU Slip and give yourself 1 credit. So it doesn't really matter whether you use the podcast or the SuccessNet. In the US, I did update this so it lists BNI webinar, but if you're from another country, it may not say webinar. Just make sure you give yourself 1 credit for one of the other things. And you should now have a CEU for today's session. All right. So let's see, Cameron says, good show. While I've heard several versions of Complete Your Profile, the energy you put into making this presentation fresh is welcome. Cameron, thank you so much. That is an absolutely wonderful compliment. And I appreciate the fact that you've seen this multiple times before with other people and have come back and listened to it again. So I really, really appreciate your dedication and taking some time to be with me here today. Marie says, thank you. Will this training be posted to our accounts? Unfortunately, because this is an event that's outside of the BNI Connect infrastructure, I don't really have it set to automatically update your profile since we didn't register. But if you send me an email, support@bniconnect.com, again, support@bniconnect.com, I will be sure to give you a credit for today's webinar on your profile. So for anybody that's still listening, a little bit of a bonus for you guys. If you would like this to appear on your profile, just please shoot me an email with your name and where you're from and that you attended today's webinar, and I'll be happy to manually add that to your profile. All right, does that help, Marie? Kevin says thank you for your time, as does Carrie. You're welcome, and thank you guys for your time. Tony says things are good on this end. He had most of his profile up, but just needs to add a photo and touch up a couple of things. So excellent, Tony. Let's see, Jamilet or Jemilet. I'm not sure if I said that name right. I apologize. But they say, I'm new with BNI. I've never done this type of thing before. Tomorrow I will meet with my mentor and review the information you've gone over today. So excellent. I wish you the best of luck with BNI and with your mentor. If you ever have any questions whatsoever, please do feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. All right, let's see. Carly says, in the TOPS profile, what would be a good example of the top product portion? So Carly, that would be what is the thing that you sell, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical product. It could be a service as well. But what's either your favorite thing to sell or your most popular thing, or it could be your most profitable thing that, if you got a referral to do this thing or to sell this thing, what would that be? Does that help, Carly? So, for me, my top product is, because I'm an IT company, my top product, the thing that we like to sell the most, or the thing that really drives my business, is managed services contracts here in this Rhode Island area. So for my top product, that's really what I would want to talk about, is those managed services products. Tony says, thank you for your time. This has been very helpful, and we'll watch it again on my own. And please also share the videos with other members of your chapter, especially as new members come in. So thank you, Tony. Jill says, thanks. I'm new with BNI, and this was very helpful. You are most welcome, Jill. Rosie says, how do you put a picture on the profile? Sure, I can show you that again real quick. So to put a picture right here on the home screen, you could do this two ways. So if you click on Update Profile My BNI page, that will take you to your profile. There's also a direct link to change your photo logo right here, which will just take you right to the correct tab, or right to the correct place. Click on the magnifying glass. That will go out and find the images on your computer, so you can choose one that you find appropriate. So I'm going to change my picture to, let's say, this one here. And this one's really, really big, so I'm going to have to crop it a little bit. And click Save. And there you go. I now have a new picture on my profile. So I know Michael says, I'm new to BNI. This is great. Be sure to let your leadership team and your executive director know that you found this helpful. That would be a good testimonial for me. Elisa says, thanks so much. Very informative. Eloisa says, thank you very much for the information. I'm very new to BNI and are enjoying very much the experience and learning how to promote my business. Eloisa, make sure you use all the other resources available to you as well, such as your director consultant and your regional events. If you haven't been to Member Success Program yet, absolutely get to Member Success Program as quickly as possible, as that will demystify a lot of things around BNI that might be hard to grasp at first. So Michael says, I would like to get the video of this webinar. So you'll be able to get the video of this. I'll upload it as soon as I can. It usually takes me a couple of days, but the place to get it, two places. First of all, click on this in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see this question mark here, right under Regional Website and Options. If you click on that question mark, that will take you to the support site. You should see a tile that says Live and Recorded Webinars. You'll see that I have them all just split out by month. As soon as I can get these November ones uploaded, I will. You'll see a new series start. But you can, in the meantime, you can always go back and review the September series as well. And I do the same series of 9 webinars on a monthly basis. So for the most part, the content stays the same, but we get different questions. We get different interactions and all of that from different people that are participating in that one. You can also find them all on youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. And that will take you to our YouTube page. And this is just a slightly less organized series of webinars, but you'll also find some other interesting things here. For example, we have this message from Dr. Meisner. I have some shorter 3 to 5 minute education moments as well. So you'll find a lot of other interesting things up there on the YouTube channel. Steve says, I had to telephone into here. Is that normal? Unfortunately, I didn't create the GoToWebinar software. Most people are able to listen through their speakers and their microphone on their computer, but to be honest with you, a lot of times I personally telephone into the GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting, just because I find that depending on how good or bad the internet connection is on any given day, the telephone is a little bit more stable, and a lot of times it allows me to use my earpiece as well. So I don't know if it's normal or not, but I'm glad it's an option and you were able to get here, Steve. So Rosie has another question. What classification would I be in as a grief and addiction counselor? There are a whole bunch of categories under counseling. I don't have the full list in front of me, but you can definitely talk with your director consultant or your executive director if you feel that it's misclassified. And if something is not in there, then they can also make a request to headquarters to add another classification in. Does that help, Rosie? I know it doesn't help directly until you talk with your director, but. All right, do we have any additional questions? Questions, comments, concerns? All right, and just one final reminder, a good referral for me is to please let people know about these webinars. We do have another webinar. We have webinars pretty much every day this week, as a matter of fact. Tomorrow we are going to be talking about the referral process. How do we use BNI Connect to track our referrals and to give referrals? Then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about connecting with other members. We're going to go in and search the system and see how we can find other people, also give testimonials and things like that. On Thursday, we are going to take a deeper dive into the system. We're going to talk about some of the tools and reports that are available within BNI Connect. And then on Friday is our final one in the member series. We're going to talk about inviting and registering visitors. So I invite you to all or any of those. Eloisa says, please, how to add the YouTube connection. Okay, sure. So let's say that you want to add a YouTube video to your profile, just like this one is here. So the way to do that, it's actually fairly straightforward. If you go to YouTube, so first you just have to take a video of yourself. That can be a selfie video. You can have something professionally done. It could be a promotional video that you've had done in the past for your business, whatever it might be. The trick is just to get it up onto some sharing site. It's got to be, it can be YouTube, it could be Vimeo, really anything like that. I happen to keep all my stuff up on YouTube. And what you'll see is if I click on a video, so let me just click on, let's say, this education moment video. There's a button here that says share. So if I click that, that will give me a link, but I don't want that one. What I actually want is the embed code. So there's 3 options here, share, embed, and email. What I want is embed. This will give us the code that we need to simply copy it, and paste it. So we can just right-click and choose copy or hit Control-C on your keyboard, go back to your profile, update profile, and you're just going to paste it into My Business. You can see that I have this in here. Now you do have to have at least one word or sentence or period, otherwise we think that you might be a robot trying to hack into the system. But that's all there is to it. Click Save, and that video will appear on your profile. Does that help, Eloise? Eloisa, I believe it is. Marie says, I can't make the one on Wednesday. When will that be posted to listen to? So the one on Wednesday, usually it takes me 1 to 2 days to get them posted. But again, you can just go and, if you want to, take a look at one of the other recordings. So pretty much the one from last month is going to be very, very similar to the one that I do on Wednesday. Not that I have them word for word scripted, but I have done them probably 100 times. So you can, if you're anxious, you can go grab one of the recorded ones that are already up there. Otherwise, the one on Wednesday should be up hopefully by the end of the week. All right, Jill says, I tried submitting a CEU credit, but it won't update. We'll cover that more in detail tomorrow. But what happens is it won't update up here in the statistics until after your chapter meeting. Okay, so when you submit that CEU slip, what it does is it goes into a draft form. So it's waiting for this week's meeting. But if I click on Review My CEU Slips, this will have that CEU that I just put in today, which includes that one credit for a BNI webinar. And you'll see that it lists that it's in draft mode, which means that after the meeting, after my vice president has submitted the report for the week, then this will be official, and I'll see that CEU get added to the total up here. All right, does that make sense, Jill? Does that help? Awesome. All right, do we have any additional questions? Any additional questions whatsoever? All right, going once. Going twice. Oh, had a last minute question. Chad says, what is the email to have this added to our training? Email me at support@bniconnect.com, or if you go to that support site, okay, so if you click on that question mark up there, whoops, you can always go to support.bniconnect.com or click on the question mark, and you'll see all these live and recorded webinars, but up here at the top, it says submit a request, and that's actually the best way to do it. That will get over to our whole support team, and we'll be able to get that done for you. All right, does that help, Chad? Cool. All right, so on that note, once again, thank you guys so very much for being here today. I look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. In the meantime, happy connecting.